Hello everyone and welcome to episode 111 of Two Left Thumbs, your source of weekly gaming news, deals and discourse. My name is Puppiez, and joining me on the podcast this week, he may not be a doctor, but he's here to rescue us. Lupo2TheRescue, man, how are you?
I'm doing great after that intro. It feels like someone actually took a little time to throw in some flair, so I appreciate it. I'm doing good though, man. Thank you.
So what have you been up to? Who are let's go back a bit. Who are you? Like, what do you do?
So I am I guess like internet like information person, like always throwing in my 2 or 3 cents on video game topics of the latest and greatest. I guess where I come from. So I was formerly a Mixer partner. So I spent 3 years on Mixer, basically from the time it started till the time it ended. 1 full year as a partner. And since then I've been streaming on Facebook and Twitch. Facebook as a partner as well. So partner content creator, podcast host, and general, player of games.
Yeah, so you do a bit of writing as well, don't you? For
yeah.
For is it Mule?
I write for mulehorngaming.com. Like I cover a lot of like loot games and service games. It's just like the games I enjoy most. And for me as a content creator, I always enjoy like seeing news as opposed to like guides, builds, and stuff like that. So that's why I like to provide news, because I feel like I ingest a lot and then can digest and spit it out as fast as it comes in.
Right. So how long have you been doing the writing for?
Since E3 2019. That's really what kind of got me interested. Like I was just kind of taking things in, and I saw the trailer for actually PSO2 is what got me into like writing about it, because it was like such a huge thing for PSO2 to finally come to America from Japan, like after being as a live service for 8 years at that point, like it's like forever, and like people are waiting for it to come to America. So like it was something that really excited me, because I was talking about it with like a lot of friends at the time. Like I want this sci-fi MMO to like come out that has like really good combat and the graphics look good. And maybe crossplay would be cool. And like literally the trailer was like hitting all those things. Like, wait, like someone's like listening to me while I sleep, like ticking every box. And it's like, sure enough, like PSO2 is coming to the West in 2020, 2020. And it was a really exciting time. And like, I was, what, I think I'm just going to do this, because you do like, as a content creator, you try to find like your main medium, and for a lot of it's streaming, because like, not to sound offensive or dumb things down or like ruin our craft, but streaming it like in relation to everything else is easy. It does, you're not editing videos, like YouTube is hard, man. Like I've tried to do that, like making a video and scripting and all those sorts of things is hard comparatively to just hitting the live button and kind of just winging it as you go. Like I understand some people make more of it than what it is, but like to just hit the live and start, it's relatively easy.
Yeah, I've been looking down the barrel of YouTube for a couple of weeks now. I'm just like, I don't mind editing. I enjoy it a little bit. Again, with podcasting being kind of more my main medium now. And kind of looking at YouTube, maybe, and like the whole process behind everything is fucking daunting. Like even just like, weirdly enough, streaming on YouTube is harder than streaming everywhere else, because I think you have to do it with Facebook as well. Where you have to have the thumbnail up ready to go beforehand, which requires pre-planning, which I don't like.
That was my favorite part about like doing the Facebook thing. Like I love making thumbnails, like and having things ready. Like it's basically like, your stream on any platform, you kind of just seeing like a static image of like the stream, like a thumbnail. You have this really nice thing that you set up beforehand. You say, okay, I'm going to stream this game today. We're going to make a really cool thing, maybe have me as a character playing the game, like, so it was fun and like nice to do those types of things, but I get it. It's more work, and with YouTube, I think with YouTube, like you said, like streaming on YouTube is hard. And I agree 100%, because streaming on Facebook was almost the same thing, where if you can do static content on YouTube and or Facebook, your live stream is then supplementing that content, and then basically you have this constant stream of things always going on. So whether you're live or not live, you have something up to upload or offer to your viewership every single day, and that's a lot of work, especially as someone like you and
Yeah.
myself who work like 40 hours a week or more at times. It's tough, it's hard, so like that's why we just say, you know what, I get off work at whatever time, I'm gonna stream until whatever time I have to go to bed, and then we'll start the day over again and see what happens tomorrow.
Just roll up. I don't know what I feel. I think my biggest problem, especially with like planning stuff, is half the time, like most of the time I know what I want to play, but other times I'll sit down and I'm like, you know what, I don't want to play that today. I'd like my mind will totally change. I was like, and that's the beauty of it. It's like, oh yeah, we'll do this game now, or even changing halfway through is always good as well. Talk to me about Facebook a little bit, because it's not something I know a few people there. There's yourself and a few other friends that I know that are kind of over there. Are you still over there fairly often, or?
Not as often as I used to be. So it's not really a secret that when Mixer decided to close its doors in June last year, they offered contracts to the partners, and they said basically if you stream your specified time, which was 20 hours a month, for 3 straight months, we'll pay you $2,500. And I was like, okay. Like I don't have a home. I don't feel like Twitch is a place for me right now because it's extremely saturated. It's hard to start from the bottom there. So I just felt like Facebook was a great opportunity. You have literally 2.5 billion users on the platform, and at any given moment, any one of those 2.5 billion users can see your stream. So that was the appeal for me initially. And for those first 3 months, things were great. I had actually changed jobs at that point, and because I actually wasn't working at the time, I was on furlough. And then I got to the point where, money was going to run out because they were, paying us extra money through the government during that whole quarantine period. And that was going to run out. I was like, you know what? My job's not calling me back. I gotta do something now. So I ended up changing jobs in that time period. And the job I have now just requires me to be more present, think more, get there on time, wake up early. So it's all things that like I know that I have to do, and it was a really, really great career change for me at the time, but negatively impacted streaming. So in November, because like up to that point, I was streaming both. I was doing Twitch, doing YouTube, doing Facebook, just as much as I could. Do a couple days during the week, a couple days during the weekend, and it just became too much. I was, not sleeping enough. I saw like my health, my health didn't like decline where like I felt shitty. I just like I didn't want to force myself to stay up all night to get the hours in that I needed
kind
to.
of starts to set in, and you just like, and then it kind of just starts really lowering your drive. And it's like I'd like you go down to set up. Like I have this all the time too, where I'm like, all right, go down to a stream, and I'll just kind of sit there, and I'm just like, I don't have the energy to like get on there and be like, I could go for like maybe an hour, but I don't, like, you feel like that's not worth the time to put in. Like you'd want to be going for a couple of hours. Like there's still that kind of I still have that mindset where, if I'm going to be on, I'm going to be on for at least 2 or 3 hours just to kind of make the most of it and get a good session in. But if it's like I only really have energy for an hour, like you're like, what's the point? And you just
what's the point? Yeah,
take the night off. Yeah.
And that's where it got to, like, in November, I was like, you know what? I can't do both. I'm just going to commit to doing Facebook. We'll do it on the weekends. And that's when everything changed. So, they had a really great system of like the way your content gets shared and spread out to different sources. And basically what happened is they started decreasing the reach. I don't know if it was an intentional thing, an unintentional thing, just the way that the algorithm started working is that it actually started working against us. And, when I, like on a Saturday, I have a live stream, I'd get like 9,000 views on a video. It went down to like 100. I was like, what's going on here?
Wow,
and then
that's a massive drop. Yeah.
Yeah. So that persisted like through all of December and then into January. And I was just like, you know what? As much as I didn't feel like I had a place on Twitch, like there's people that are asking me like, why haven't you streamed? And it's like, I am streaming. I'm just not streaming at the place where everybody else is. So that's what prompted the change to try to check out Twitch. And since going back to Twitch, like it's been substantially more consistent with old community members coming back and people coming to the streams every weekend. So I've just subbed out that time and said, you know what, it's just not worth it. Like I felt like having that partnership, which is such a huge thing, and the benefits didn't outweigh the time put in at that point. I just needed to do something different.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you know if that was with other creators as well, or you haven't spoken to
Top
them
to
about
bottom,
it?
top to bottom,
Wow.
because at first they kind of isolated us as former Mixer partners. They didn't put us into like Gen Pop with the partnered Facebook streamer. It's really funny because like, so Mixer had a Discord for all of the partners.
Yeah.
So we had all of the partners, like all 2,000 partners in one Discord that we could talk about collaborating or whatever like that. You can kind of bounce ideas off of, which eventually they got rid of. But Facebook didn't do that for us. They started with bringing in Facebook people into the Mixer Discord, answering our questions, and then they started a Facebook group where we can kind of hang out and talk in, you know. And there was, you know, maybe a couple hundred people. Like since the start of the year, they've started adding in the other known partners, like, you know, 100,000 followers and more in this Discord, you know. So people I can recognize that are like faces of the platform, you know, like Audio Freak and stuff like that. And Syph was in there, and like they're all having the same problems as the people that just came over. So people that have been on the platform for 2-3 years are having the same issue with reach. Like some of them not to the extent that we are, like the extent that I was, but equally enough for them to notice like, hey, something's wrong, you know. And they just really haven't been able to give us a solid reason as to why these things are happening.
Interesting, yeah, because I have noticed a lot more like people that originally went with Facebook from the Mixer transition have been coming back to Twitch in the last couple of months. So that probably explains a lot of why.
Yeah, like that for me, like that was the biggest draw for Facebook. Even up until that point, I took Facebook off my phone. Like I had an account, but I didn't really like log into it or check it, just because I don't want to associate it with most people that associate with Facebook, like primarily. But I thought it was a really great opportunity, you know, and a way to get my content out there to other people that had never seen it. Like, you know, if I was going to start at the bottom somewhere, like at least have the benefit of a partnership and, you know, the algorithm to work in my favor. And
Yeah,
just
if that's not gonna
work,
yeah,
if that's not gonna work, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sounded like a pretty good deal. I was looking at the what they were kind of offering when Mixer kind of shut down, because I left Mixer the day before Mixer shut down. I was like, when there was a whole they had those the staff treating people like shit, and all that that news came out. I was like, oh, fuck this, I'm out and going back to Twitch. And then the next day, Mixer shut down. I'm like, yeah, I shut Mixer down. It's all me.
What's crazy is that like there, like things were on Mixer were kind of going downhill, just like as a quality standpoint. I had started having a lot of issues, like quality wise, like couldn't get crisp streams and everything like that. And I was always trying to test things on my end. And then the day before the announcement went through, like that's when things started improving, like having really great quality streams, having you know, really active engaging chat. And I was like, oh man, things are really going to turn around. And then the next day was, you know, when they dropped the bomb, I was like, oh, this is awful. So that day was the last time I streamed on Mixer. It was like hey, I'm going to stream on both. So I streamed on Mixer and Twitch at the same time that day, and almost had equally as many on both sides. I was like, you know what, this is a sign right here. That's it, I'm done. I'm just gonna move on and just close this chapter now.
Yeah, that's fairly reasonable assumption, especially when it comes to like staying flexible with content, because, you know, if you just stay stagnant in the one place, you can kind of really fuck yourself over. And
which is where I think a lot of people are now. So like you have even people trying out you know, a new platform goes live, I think tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah, Glamesh, so Glamesh launches.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, you know what, before we get too far off of it, Facebook has the worst latency of any streaming platform.
Oh, really? How bad
I think at some point they were at 30 or 40 seconds.
Oh my god.
And this is after like Twitch has come down to like 5 to 6, and even YouTube is down to like 8 or less at times, you know. So from being on Mixer, where I literally had less than 1 second, you know, stream to chat delay,
wasn't it?
It's
amazing.
fantastic. It's like having a real conversation with people, you know. And then Facebook, it's like you're talking to people and you're waiting for responses, so you're not playing the game. You know, it's you're waiting for the shoe to drop, you know, and it's just not happening.
Yeah, I remember I did a before when I was still constantly streaming on Mixer. There was I went over and did a charity stream on Twitch with Dads of Destiny, and like the immediate swap, there was like a 20-second delay, and I'm like, it like the whole night I was like, I think by the end of it I was kind of getting used to it, but it totally threw me out. Which is what's interesting about Glamesh, is they're promising like sub-second latency, which is interesting to check out. I think it looks very Mixer-ish. In the way it's built, it's very heavily inspired by that. But I think I'm probably going to have a look at it for a couple of streams, not to like commit over there, just to kind of see how it works and what it's all about, and go from there.
Yeah, like I love the idea of it, but like someone as like myself, where I'm pulling myself away from like content creation as a whole, especially like in the live streaming sense. Like static content just become easier, and that's why I started like doing more writing, because I felt like that would be easier for me to sustain if I couldn't physically be in front of a camera all the time, you know. So I can write at work on my lunch breaks and stuff like that. I can write when, you know, I'm hanging out with my kid, you know, if he's just watching a TV show or something like that. You can't live stream when you're committed to those other things. So static content was going to be the way to supplement, like still have a foot in the content creation world, but not have to be live all the time, you know. And I just, I don't know if I could commit to another platform, especially one to upstart like that. It's tough.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be committed to it. I just want to suss it out and see what tech they're using, how it's all working, get a feel for how the platform's actually working, if it's going to be worth doing. But I don't think I'll be switching to it anytime soon. I don't think I have it in me to do another startup personally. I'd like, after Mixer, I'm just like, no, I can't like bring myself to go through all that again. So it might be a case of maybe check it out for a while, but I don't think it'll be a permanent thing at all for me.
No, and I mean, like, that was like my thing as a partner, you know, like I wanted to give other partners that had full-time jobs but the passion to become a partner a way to something to look at, say, hey, this other guy, you know, he is a person that works 40 hours a week, you know, raises a family and everything like that, and he became a partner. That's something I could do. So at least if I could help lead the next generation of streamer to pursue their goals despite what is holding them back in real life, you know, I always felt great about doing that. And that's what I wanted to bring over to Facebook, and it just feels like Facebook was just working against me in those regards. Like, Facebook worked better as you streamed more, and that's just not the greatest way to look at content, honestly. Like uptime isn't always money, you know. Like sometimes working on things on the back end is better than being live, you know. And I think that's a lot of what people make mistakes about, is they think they always have to be live, always have to grind, you know. And I hate the mentality, because 2 hours working on your stream might be more productive for you than actually being live for, you know, 4 to 6 hours. You know, it's crazy that the time on the back end and how integral it is to your quality and your stream in general, and people don't realize it.
No, it's I think it's changing slowly. Like, the grind is less. I think especially when Twitch was younger. And that was kind of the way forward, and because it was such a new kind of medium and platform, it became like the ancient fucking text of grind and you will get places. But it's not the case anymore, because the platform and the medium have evolved so much, where branching out and doing as many different things as possible and getting yourself kind of everywhere in different spots, in different types of content, you know, like static content, live content, written content as well, is the better way to go, because you're putting out, because if one thing takes off, you can start following that and then kind of supplement it with the other things as well, giving you more of a rounded kind of content base to have, so you're not relying on just this one thing, and then when that falls through, you're kind of stuffed.
Yeah, I think people are, and myself included, are discounting short form as well, because TikTok and like this even goes back to Vine. Like Vine made people millions of dollars, you know, and like it kind of just went on the wayside. And now TikTok exists, and, you know, you have YouTube stories and Instagram stories and all those sorts of things. Like, that is extremely successful means of content if you know how to like do it right. And people are not utilizing it the way they could. And like I said, myself included, I don't have the time to really like make that content.
Yeah,
but it does really
yeah.
well because it's so easy to digest.
Yeah, I've been looking at YouTube Shorts because I have this, and I have like the YouTube channel for the podcast as well. So I've been looking at at the moment I'm just kind of uploading kind of clips from the show, slightly edited, to kind of see, just to feel out how it all works and see what the metrics are like. But I'm actually, that's when I was looking at YouTube earlier, this is what I'm looking at, is that shorter form content. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to approach it to make it worthwhile, because, you know, making a minute long video isn't difficult once you get into a rhythm.
Yes.
So if you know what you're doing, you can figure out where to go from there. I think it'd be quite worthwhile, and it's a good way to kind of start boosting other things as well.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. So, let's move on a little bit. What have you been playing recently?
Playing. I play Destiny. Like, I don't think I've ever not played Destiny in a week. It's been a long time, and as much as like there are times where I would love to like step away from it, like it's the only game that checks off as many boxes as it does. Like, it's a sci-fi game. I love sci-fi games. It's a game where I could play multiplayer and not have to be competitive. You know, so you can get 6 people in activity. It's a great social thing. I love the way the guns feel. I love the aesthetic. I love the alien races about it. It's like there's so many great things about Destiny that like just keeps bringing me back to it. And the fact that like they're in an okay place, I wouldn't say great, but an okay place with delivering content pretty consistently. Quality, you know, is really up to the end user, but you know, it's the fact that they can give us a new season's worth of stuff every 3 or 4 months is pretty fantastic, and like I could just live off of that for now. But I have been playing other things. Like, I play a lot of Genshin Impact. That's like one of the games I've been playing a lot since it came out in September. I hate like the gacha aspects about it. Like, if you've ever played like a really greasy mobile game, like that's what it is. Like, they just try to like pinch all of the pennies out of you to like, oh, you can have this, but you gotta like put some money into it, you know. And you can play the game 100% for free, but they show you the glimpses. They show you the glimpses of like what you can get for what, like, the things you pay for, and it makes you want to spend more money on it. And I don't want to go down that road again.
Yeah, no, it's a very slippery slope. That one. I've looked at Genshin. I think like the gotcha mechanics. Not personally a huge super anime fan, but the gameplay kind of looked interesting. But like that the gotcha mechanics, like, I don't want to touch it because I know it's a free to play, but I feel like I don't really want to support that kind of monetization in a game, because it sets a precedent for everybody else, and then we end up with Battlefront again. And I can't bring myself to do it at all.
Yeah, because like the combat's fun and it looks really pretty, and the story is actually very good. But I just don't want to have to like it. You really feel punished for not logging in every day, and I can't do that with more than one game now. You know, like Destiny, like I log in a couple times a week and I feel good about it. This, like, if you're not logging in every day, you're losing money. And it's not like you're physically losing money, but you're losing potential money. So basically, the way the system works is you can put in cash for the credits, or you can log in every day and earn some things for the credits. So, you know, if you're not logging in, that's basically like losing money.
Wow. That's,
so if you're not logging in every day to do like your daily tasks, you're losing potential money, you know, which is it's frustrating. And I can understand why people play. And like, I see people play multiple accounts. It's like, how?
What?
Like,
wow. Why would you do that? I mean, why would you have how would you have the time for that? I mean, if the game is that much of a commitment on a single account, having multiples, like,
yes.
What would be the reason for a multiple account though? Is there any advantages to it?
Well, what people were doing is that like they're calling it re-rolling. So you get to a certain point in the game where you get X amount of gotcha pulls, more or less.
Right.
So if you get to like level 7, you get a bunch of like gotcha pulls. So like the way people were doing it is that like they get to level 7, get all these gotcha pulls, and hope to get like a top tier character out of it. And if they didn't, they'd start a new count over again. So that's how the people were doing that over and over and over again. So then
Oh my god.
if they got bored or got finished with what you can do, because you can only, if you're playing for free, you can only do a certain amount of things per day because you have like a stamina type system.
Right.
That only allows you to do, because that's the way a mobile game is. You know, you remember like Candy Crush only lets you do so many moves without putting money into it. So this is exactly the same thing. So if people were loving the game that much, you can do it, but like, you can't transfer items between accounts. You can't trade between players. So
it's just kind of hope for the good shit on one account and then play it through from there.
Yep, that's like when you see people talk about re-rolling their account. That's exactly what they were doing.
Oh wow. So the other thing we both have been playing, and only part of the reason I got you on the cast is the Outriders demo.
Yep.
How are you
yeah, so
how are you feeling about it?
I feel pretty good. Like when I saw Outriders for the first time at E3 2019, and it like instantly like this is it. This is what I want to play. This not like this is the game I'm going to play forever, because they kind of very early on let us know that it wasn't going to be like a live service game where you'd be, you know, waiting for new things to happen. It's a complete experience. It's an RPG that is co-op that has loot. So it's more like Borderlands or Diablo than it is like Destiny or Division or something like that. I loved like the gritty sci-fi aesthetic about it. Like just even from like the initial trailer reveal, you know, 2 years ago. You know, fast forward a couple years and, you know, finally getting it in our hands. There's definitely things that I love about it, and there's definitely things that I want to take a step back and say, you know what, maybe I want to wait. But I'm all in. I pre-ordered it, I think in August or something like that.
Oh,
so
wow, so you're fully committed already. I like it.
Yeah.
So how many hours have you gotten the demo so far?
I had 15
Roughly.
hours.
15. All right.
15
so
hours. So since Friday, like I didn't play too much today. Only played a little bit yesterday, and did only play like maybe an hour or two. But I played all the classes at least. I played all the classes through every single bit of story content that you can play in the game, which is literally only about 3 hours. Like you can do everything on one character in about 3 hours. But I feel like every class is unique enough to feel different. I would like to see more differences between all the weapons, though. Like I feel like the weapons
were kind of like the weapons just became things I used while I waited for my abilities to cool down at some point. Yeah.
But I like, in fairness, I didn't get any legendaries in that time. Like, you know, I know people were playing for like hours and hours and hours. Like there was basically like one mission where you could kill the one major in the thing, or the one elite, and then get killed by the mobs and then start over and then just grind that out, keep grinding out for that legendary drop. And people were doing that for like hours and hours on end.
Yeah, I saw some of the legendary. It looks really interesting. Like I think it was the one I saw was the double pistols. And they've got some really unique ways that they're going to be working in with classes and stuff there, which I think is really cool. Like there's everything kind of ties in together and blends, depending obviously on your play style, but it still looks really, really cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everything like looked really, really great. And the initial impressions that people were giving, you know, once we started seeing more footage, was that it looked very generic. And I have trouble seeing that. Like if you want to say that the game plays generic, you know, it's a cover shooter with abilities, like okay. But I don't think the aesthetic of the game is generic. I don't think the story of the game is generic. It feels like when I played it, it felt as close to the Destiny beta as I've been with a game in a long time.
Yeah,
you know, the first time I played the Destiny beta, like you have a really small sample size of what you could do, but there's enough story that you're saying, okay, I want to know why I'm doing these things. I want to explore this world more. And that's exactly how I felt about Outriders. It made me want to go try the other classes. You know, I had to test out both voice actors, you know, the male and the female voice actors. Yep. Kind of see was like
both of them weren't bad actually. They were pretty
good.
I
actually I think the female, like I think the female was better in the high points and the male was better at the low points. Like that's just like my take on the whole thing. Like when they got more animated, the female was a little bit better, but like in like the general regular talking, I think the male was better.
Right. Okay.
But I think a lot of people are taking the wrong approach to this because when you have a game that has loot and multiplayer and abilities, people automatically start talking about, will this be the game that replaces Destiny? And it's come up every single time. We talk a lot about Anthem, and I think that's where you and I really started talking was with Anthem, and that kind of went south. As much as I had 500 hours in Anthem, I loved every minute of that game.
I had about 70. I did love it, but I got to kind of like that end game grind. I was like,
you're like, what do I do now?
What am I doing? Yeah, where do I go from here? But honestly, I'm getting some Anthem vibes from this as well, mostly in the kind of the aesthetic. A little bit, not so much with like the grand vistas and stuff, but like the basic of aesthetic, especially with the social hub, not social hub, but the main hub. You kind of get those Tarsus vibes from that because it's like all these interweaving pathways and you're kind of kicking around, and it just kind of feels like this really weird mix of Anthem, Destiny, and Gears of War.
Yeah, and like I get a lot of I get some. Yeah, it was the same people that did Judgment, and you could see that like very clear as day that this is a studio that did Gears.
Yeah.
I feel it's not as clunky as Gears was though. Like it's definitely like more fluid than Gears. But I get Mass Effect vibes like from a lot of the different classes. Like there's like there's some.
I've never played Mass Effect.
Oh boy, you're in for a treat.
I'm looking at the remaster at the moment. Going, do I pull the trigger on this? Because I don't know.
I would say like watch somebody play it, and if like you really say like what, this is something I want to try, then check it out. Like Mass Effect is my favorite game series ever. It is. I hate talking definitives. But I would say it's probably the single greatest sci-fi RPG that exists. I could say that pretty confidently. And so many things about Outriders reminds me of Mass Effect. That's why I love it so much. So like, I picked the Devastator because it reminded me a lot of my favorite main character class in Mass Effect, the Vanguard, which is like you have your biotic powers, which is like you're manipulating mass, and you're able to charge through the air and hit people and throw around this like wave of negative like dark matter energy, and those things reminded me a lot of like the Devastator. Like this, it was literally looked exactly the same, like the way that his earthquake worked and the gravity leap, and I saw that the first time. I was like, this is the same thing. I want to play this now. I've been waiting a long time. So it felt good to finally like get it in my hands and do that.
As always, I was naturally drawn to the Devastator first because I always the same with Anthem. I always go for the tank. I always want to be in there in the action, just messing shit up. So I did that first, and it was a lot of fun. I was looking at the upgrade tree that you get, and there's some really interesting like just looking through them. Oh, this would work, and this would be a really cool build. I wonder if it'll be one of those things where you only can choose, because it's like a kind of a finite story. If you like only get to a certain level, you only choose certain paths, or if you'll be able to eventually fill out that entire tree.
I think it's going to be similar to like how Borderlands is. I don't know if you ever played like one of the Borderlands games, but like they have three very like, especially like the most recent one, you have three very distinct skill trees, and you could basically fill one entire thing and kind of hit the other ones. This is going to be a little bit different because of how the paths work. So you have to kind of connect all the dots. So you can't really, but like there is like intersecting in the middle. So like they run parallel, like the three skill trees, they run parallel with each other, but they do have like intersecting paths in between to get back to the other paths. So it's going to be interesting to see like how the skill trees shake out when it's all said and done. But I do think we'll probably be able to get to one whole skill tree, or at least get to like that end, that the end that does like the extra bonuses, like, and then get some other things in between to really maximize the build. But like I did the same thing, looking at every single one, like how am I gonna make this? Like they gave you 2 skill points, and I had to wait till I was done with everything before I even invested those skill points, because I didn't know where I would want them to go, because everything carries over, but
yeah,
not like that really matters, because you can just reset anything. There's no cost to reset everything and respec your entire skill tree. So
what was really good also on resetting and newer characters, that you could skip that opening scene. Because
yes,
I was like, I went to like, I'd played Devastator through. I'd done most everything there. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll try the Pyromancer, like, 'cause, you know, fire is always fucking fun. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to play the opening mission again and go through the cutscenes and the loading scenes. And I'm like, oh, I just don't want to. And it came up, I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And it came up, you want to skip to this part? I'm like, yes, please. Which I think is fantastic. Do we know how many, if there's a maximum on the characters you can create, or can you just keep?
you have 6 total.
6 total. All right.
Yeah, so that was actually available in the game. So you can make 6 total, like in the demo right now, and then carry every single one of them forward. So like, the way I saw it is that if you have your one favorite main class, you can make multiple of your favorite main class and then run the other ones, you know? So like, I was like, I'm going to build 3 Devastators and then the other 3.
So you've played all four of the
Yeah.
classes. Let's go through them. Let's start with the Trickster. Tell me about the Trickster, how it works.
So the Trickster is like a manipulator of space and time, you know. So you have your main ability is the temporal slice, which I don't even know what it was actually doing. Like, it was just obliterating things. So you can just come up to them, you do this temporal slice that basically like slows them down, and then they just explode. So like, that was pretty cool. And then you have like a slowing field ability. I forget. Oh, then the teleport. You can actually teleport behind people. So then you can like teleport behind them, launch the slow field, slice them with the temporal. It was crazy, like the stuff you could do with it. And it just really, really worked well together. It had like really good mobility, the Trickster. So but it was my least favorite. Trickster
Really?
was actually my least favorite.
I seem to see a lot of people like really, really going for the Trickster, like especially online and stuff.
It's the prototype rogue. Like, people love like the rogue class because it's like the bad boy of D&D, you know. Like, people don't want to play the tank because you're so relied on. People want to be the rogue because it's just like you can do whatever you want. That's like, I mean, that's definition of rogue, you know.
Just give me the freedom to do whatever you guys are gonna do.
Yes, and that's the way that the Trickster was. Like, the Trickster, you can, you know, have the freedom of just going out and doing whatever you need to do, and then you can kind of build your class however you want to do. You know, are you going to go in, use your abilities, because it does have a rewind ability, but I don't think that we got that in the demo. So if you like
down,
yeah, so you can teleport in, use your slice or your slow field, use that ability to back all the way out to where you started, and then, you know, snipe if you want to, you know. So it's there's a lot of build diversity when all is said and done.
Yeah, it's I saw a few people playing as the Trickster. Looked like a lot of fun. The slow field confused the shit out of me the first time I saw it. There's still this black blue field going on. Wait, is this me? Is this them? Is this the enemies? I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I had the same problem because I was playing with someone who is the Trickster, and I was using the Devastator, which has the bullet ability, like where you can like catch the bullets and send them back at people.
Yeah,
so like, here I am, like going to try to like go in and tank and take the bullets, and then my friend comes up with the slow field. It's like, I can't take the bullets because you slowed them all down. So you know, you got to think about like the builds and stuff like that in team comp. It's cool. Like, I enjoy stuff like that.
Yeah, it's good all that work. So let's talk about the Devastator, because we both played that, and that's a lot of fun. It's tank character. You smash the ground, you basically move the earth to mess people up. The slow bullet ability was a lot of fun. Just like, no, I'm just gonna slow you and move away is good. How did you feel about it?
I felt really good. But the one thing I have about the problem I have with the Devastator is like the animations weren't great. So like the gravity leap is like, oh, and then there was a lot of like glitchiness with the gravity leap too. It's like,
really?
there's certain yeah. So I saw somebody talking about it, and I was like, I've played like 10 hours of the Devastator. I haven't seen this happen. And then of course I see it. I talk about it in my head, and then I see it happen in my game. So there was instances where the gravity leap, you'd use it to travel like a decent distance, and then you would just get stuck there in the, you know, in the last animation where you're hitting them. So you just get stuck there for like 2 seconds and take damage, you know. So things that they're working on, like I saw that you know, they are addressing those things, but frustrating to say the very least. But just like that one animation, it wasn't very clean, especially coming from playing Mass Effect and having this really super clean animation with the biotic charge is like virtually the same ability. kind of threw me off for a little bit. That was like my only gripe about the Devastator.
Interesting. I'll have to go play some more and have a look at that, because I don't think I noticed it. But yeah, now that you've mentioned, I'll have a look for it and probably always see it every time.
I had one hard lockup where he just like stood there and didn't move after the animation was done.
No.
But only once.
What about Pyromancer? I fucking loved this class. Like the amount of like just self-healing this class has alone, I feel like it should have been the tank.
Well, I mean, you can kind of build it like a close range tank if you want to, you know, and I think that's the beauty of this game, is like you really do anything. The Pyro actually was the one I was least interested in.
Oh, really?
I was like, because I try to stay away from the things that everybody's gonna do. You know, it's like Trickster and Pyromancer were the ones I didn't even want to like touch them this time around. So I did the Pyro last, and like you said, I was like, holy crap, that you cannot kill this thing. Like, once you get the thermal bombs going and the heat waves going, like you can get to a point of just not dying. Like I had 2 or 3 charges on them at one point. Just like you throw a thermal bomb, you throw the heat wave. By the time you're like damaging them with a gun for a little bit, you have another one again. You just throw another one out. You throw another one out. And just like thermal bomb, heat wave, thermal bomb, heat wave. It's just really then things are dead, and you're not dying.
Absolutely unstoppable, and everything's dying. So it's like, oh, this is great. Just this one-man army.
And then you have like that siphon ability that like if you really need to, you have like the oh shit button. Like, okay, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna take this health from you real quick.
Just yoink, thank you very much. And normally, if you're damaging them enough, it's enough to kill them as well. Like I know there's a few higher end enemies it wouldn't work on. It'd still drain them, but it wouldn't like kill them outright. But yeah, you just snag one of those lower life enemies. You've got one less person shooting at you. You've got health back, and you didn't have and you can do it from cover behind walls. So he's like, this is perfect.
And then like it had some good range too, that like you can take an enemy like and it would pull them out of cover a little bit, so just enough for like their head to peek out to snipe them. So like if that's the build you're going with your Pyro, you can just pull them out of cover just a touch, and just hit them. It was a lot more fun than I was expecting it to be. I thought it was going to be like, okay, you know, this is just the regular fire class again, but no, I had the fire tank and it was fun.
Tank, I love it. What about the Technomancer? Kind of last one there. I haven't looked into this at all.
So that was my number 2. Like I really wanted to enjoy the Technomancer, and I just don't know if it's going to be the one that I want it to be. We don't have a lot of like the decay things and the pestilence things that it offers like later in the skill trees. So early on, you see a lot of like the freezing. So the melee freezes. One of your ability freezes, and then I had like the main, you know, the third ability that you get is like they call it the pain launcher, and I got a piece of gear that added freezing to that too. So I was like just literally freezing things all the time, and that was a lot of fun. Then you have a grenade that you can kind of throw out and do all that. But I wanted to see the other end of it. Like I think poison and decay and, you know, draining abilities, like, you know, damage over time types of things are stuff that I always like gravitate to in other games. So I wanted to see more of that, and I'm just sad that I didn't, but I think I need to see more of it, like to really have a good opinion on it. But I liked it. It's more of like the high burst damage from a distance class.
Right, okay, yeah, so going by from what you're saying, it sounds like it's going to be one of those classes that's like, it's whatever during early game, but once you get to that end game, it's going to be really key in some compositions, especially if it's doing like range damage over time kind of stuff. You pair that with a Trickster and a slow field, you can get some interesting things going on.
And it's the only class that has a group healing ability. So like one of its abilities, like later down the tree, you could just have a group heal. So that's
so it's gonna lean into that
pretty critical.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's like the only like true support class. You know, I'm sure you could do it with every other class, but it actually has like a support ability. Like I got a piece of gear that had when your cryo turret finished the cool or finished its attack, it would heal anything in a 4-meter radius. So that was pretty cool too. So like you could put your turret out, do the damage, and then once you know like you're getting close to it going away, you just get near it, it heals you, and then you can kind of move on to the next thing.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. How do you feel about the world levels? I thought it was interesting how that was working.
I didn't like how segmented it was. So you get to a point where you're kind of going to do some of the side missions, and it's literally you're looking at like 3 different doors, and it's closed off, very sectioned off like the doors are. I understand that it's not an open world game, it's a hub and spoke game, but I feel like those areas were just too cordoned off and
Yeah.
could have been more open.
It was like you kind of get there and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go through this door and it's gonna load, and then you go to a loading scene, and then you come back to a cutscene, and you go back to another loading scene, and then you're all right, now I can play. And it felt very disconnecting. Like, it was enough time for me to look at something else and go, I have a notoriously short attention span, so if I look at something up on the other screen, I'll forget what I'm doing on the game, and I'll be like watching someone else's stream or something. I'll start chatting to them. I'm like, oh, it's happened. Like, I was playing, go through it now. Yeah.
Like, there was one specific instance where, like, exactly as you say, you get to a bridge, and you got to go cross the bridge. You got to jump over. It's like not very long either. So you select to go to that point. It goes to the cutscene. It goes to a loading screen. Then you go into a cutscene where all you do is jump over a bridge, and then it goes back to a loading screen, and then you're in the world. Like, that's I wouldn't say it's egregious, but it's unnecessary.
It really is. I think this is where, again, some of that Anthem connection was coming in. I'm like, thank God these are short loading times, because otherwise I would be totally out of this.
The first day I had some loading issues, but after that it was like butter, like no more than like a 2 or 3 second loading screen.
Yeah, it was never long, which is probably the only thing keeping me going, which is nice. Did you get into any of the matchmaking at all?
No,
because I tried. And
I had one person join a group, like a random person join a group that was already in process. So, like, actually we had 3 people. One person dropped out. We went into another thing, and then a rando just came and joined us. But no, like, didn't try the matchmaking. And I do know that some of people on Xbox had a big issue with grouping up.
Yeah, because I was
for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's connections of something, who knows. But yeah, I tried. I thought I'll try out the matchmaking, because I for the most part, because I play weird hours, I'm playing solo a lot.
Yes.
So I was like, all right, cool. I'll try out the matchmaking, and I couldn't find a match. Again, weird hours. It was about midnight. But you'd load in. I mean, it's good that you don't have to sit in a screen waiting for the matchmaking. You can kind of go, all right, I'll matchmake, and then you can go and play other levels. And then it kind of pops up, oh, here's the option if you want to go join another group and team up with people, which I think is fucking brilliant with that, and crossplay. Probably some of my favorite features out of kind of the matchmaking system there. But yeah, I found one match and it disconnected before I joined. I was like, well, so I'm really hoping that they can improve that, because I was really hoping to try and test that out more fully before I even thought about kind of looking into buying the game.
Yeah, and I didn't try crossplay at all. Like, I had every intention to. I mean, I still can. The demo's not going away. This is gonna run through launch. Just in case anybody didn't check it out and wants to see it afterwards. Like, that's a great thing. I think more game companies need to offer something like this, even beyond launch. Not just a demo that they say is a beta, but it's really a demo anyway, because no people are testing games anymore. Like, that's all stuff they pay third parties for. So, like, general public isn't really beta testing games anymore.
Yeah, I think I think they've got a lot of good things going on. There's the mainstay demo, which you can play at any time, which all progress from that carries over, which is great. Crossplay, which is, I mean, every game should have that by now. Let's be honest. I think
especially non-competitive.
Yeah, especially non-competitive PvE games. I think that should be a mainstay, and something I generally look for now as well. Because it's so much easier than like, oh, we're all gonna buy this on PC or Xbox or PlayStation or Switch, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think it's got some good things going on, and the fact that demo's staying there, I think, is really, really good. So if you want to check it out, you can, and you're not losing anything for it. There's no missing out. You can, if you are, this isn't gelling with me, it's fine. You just carry on, because I think the only thing that you can't, like, once you get to that story point, just says, hey, you want to buy the game, and that's really the only time you see any kind of store as well. Like, there's no like in-game like monetization fucking cosmetics shop that I've seen. Which is
no,
good.
like I don't think there's gonna be anything like that in the game. They just want it to be like a complete like RPG experience. I think they're really trying to tell the story more than anything else with this game.
Yeah, definitely.
From some of the things I saw, like with the dev streams and stuff like that, like some of the reveals, like they're really more about getting the story across and earning more trust in the industry as a whole. And I don't even necessarily think that that's their point, but it definitely feels like it, honestly. Like, you know, they want to put out this like complete story that you can play with friends and just have a really good time while playing. Like, I just feel like so much of it was very good, you know, like, and it was like a little bit of bad or a little bit of okay.
Yeah, it was it does everything really, really well. It like everything it sets out to do, it does well. I mean, maybe except matchmaking, but again, that probably requires a little further testing, and it's early on, so they've only just had the service up, so I'm sure they'll be fixing that shortly. But everything, like the loot's interesting, the gameplay's fine, it's fun, the abilities are really cool, the upgrade paths are great, and the story didn't blow me away, but it was fairly serviceable, you know. Like, I'm sure it will get more interesting as the game goes on, because we are only seeing those first, but essentially what is the tutorial for the game. So they're obviously not going to delve into massive deep story, but it gives you a good background, a good idea of what's going on. But I think it's a worthwhile game to check out.
I would definitely agree with that. I think like the one gripe that I've heard multiple times was that it didn't feel next gen. You know, like there wasn't anything that Outriders offered that you don't really see in other games. I think the one thing it really is going to offer up front that a lot of games haven't or don't right now is the crossplay. You know, and as insignificant as it feels to like the core aspect of the gameplay, it's huge in selling units, though. You know, it like you said, you don't have to worry about buying another console to play with your friends, because you can just play it on whatever you own it on. So if I have Xbox or PC, and you know my friend has PlayStation, you can still play. You can still play together, and I think that's extremely integral to the industry as a whole moving forward. But I definitely agree with that, like a little bit, though. You know, it doesn't feel like it's not reinventing the wheel. You know, it's just building on other things that the company's already done really well with the games like Gears, and like People Can Fly also did a lot of work on Fortnite, surprisingly enough. But you know, like,
oh really?
You know,
did
so
they?
you could,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So like early on in the development of Fortnite, they did some of like the weapon combat and stuff like that. So it's in their DNA to really make like a well polished, you know, third person gunplay experience, and I do feel, you know, I as much
definitely.
as like the guns don't feel different too much from like auto rifle to auto rifle, but I feel like it feels good, at least, you know. It like, whether or not like more guns are going to feel different later, guns feel good in general, at least.
Yeah, the combat it's not terrible. It feels good and solid. It's not like, I mean, I would like to see some different archetypes within the different kind of weapons, so like different feeling assault rifles, and I know there's some full auto shotguns and some regular shotguns. That they still kind of feel a bit samey. So I'd like to maybe see a little bit of differentiation in the sub kind of classes of the weapons. Again, that could come along with legendaries, because we are only using, for the most part, rusty fucking weapons. So there's not like a great deal that we're selecting from at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes with the larger weapon pool with the full game. But if the guns feel good and they start varying up how each gun kind of works, I think we could be onto quite a promising, not amazing game, but a good little game that you could enjoy and get your money's worth out of, and have a bit of fun with. Like, it's not an endless grind because it's not a live service. I mean, you can continue playing as much as you want till, I guess, you load out the skill trees. You've done every character class. You know, there's that repetitiveness in the gameplay there if you want to go for that. But yeah, I think it's a solid little game that, like you said, hasn't reinvented the wheel, but just does everything really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I don't know when we're gonna see something that reinvents the wheel, you know, because like I feel like anytime that people try to reinvent the wheel, you have rough things happen, like, you know, with Anthem and with Cyberpunk and stuff like that. Because like I don't feel like those games did anything that crazy. Like Anthem was the flying, you know, like I don't think any game did that better than Anthem did, you
No, that
know.
was
But
fantastic. That was again a lot of the reason I still put a lot of hours in, because the flying,
yeah,
like, the moment to moment gameplay felt really really good and it was fun to play.
yes. And then like Cyberpunk, like everything in Cyberpunk about like the hacking and stuff like that was everything I wanted Watch Dogs to be in 2015. You know, like I really thought that was going to be, or earlier than that, maybe. Like I think Watch Dogs, what, 2013, maybe. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
It was 2000. Yeah, a while ago. But yeah, 2013.
Watch Dogs was the
2014,
first game that like I played, and I was like, all right, I have to return this game because this is not what they designed it to be.
Oh wow,
So
really? I played through
like
one.
Watch Dogs was
got
like
to
the first
two,
game. I was
though.
like, you know what, I'm done. Like the first one was, but like when you play Cyberpunk, you're like, oh, these are all the things that Watch Dogs wanted to do. You know, like I can pretty much hack this and do everything that I want to do out of this. You know, and like that's where it kind of felt next gen to me. And I hope that the full release of Outriders just gives us a little bit more than like what we're getting right now. And I'm not going to be disappointed if we don't, but you always cross your fingers and hope you get something different out of it.
That little extra bonus that makes it worthwhile. I mean, yeah, again, you still get a good gameplay experience out of this, I think. But yeah, some extra stuff would be nice. Maybe some more fun guns to kind of blow shit up with would be amazing. You know, I'd love to see a world boss actually at some point.
Yeah, just like something you can find roaming. Like I don't know how this is gonna work, you know, because like it feels empty. Like when you're done, like when you get to like that end point and you have to move on to the next point, like it's empty. And like the only way you can add stuff back is like revert the story, you know, and like that just gets redundant.
Yeah, I think there's a story mission with that giant creature that they said like I'm hoping that comes into play later on during the story, because it would be really cool, especially with like given the abilities that we have and that we've seen through the skill trees and stuff. I think that'd be really cool to fight some giant fucking monster that like just torches the earth in seconds. I think that could be some like a really fun, not like a raid, maybe like similar to a strike possibly.
Well, I think that's what they're looking to put in. Like they have they're called expeditions, which is basically gonna be new zones. And from what they said, they're not gonna reuse existing content in the game for their end game. So there's 14 new locations that they're going to be adding after the game is completed. And then as you're higher in tier, you get higher quality gear and more quantity of gear, from what I remember correctly. But you know, if you are the type of person to just want to have that perfect build, you know, you're gonna be able to do all these different things to do it. And maybe they rotate them, you know, you can, you know, as you progress, another one opens, or I don't know how they're gonna do that. You know, they say it's not gonna be a live service, but it just sounds like it is, you know.
I think that's a big another confusion point too, because people say live service, they automatically associate this game with being the looter shooter, which it really isn't. It's closer to an RPG. I mean, it has looter shooter elements, sure, but I think it's closer to an RPG, like a proper RPG.
Yeah, like it feels more like Diablo or Borderlands than it does like Destiny or Division, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll good little game. Let's see how it goes. Would you like to talk about some deals and freebies this week?
Sure.
All right. So this month over on PlayStation, our PlayStation Plus games, your freebies for this month, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. I may actually pick up and play because I've never played a Final Fantasy before, so
I'm waiting for it to come out on PC, and I also have never played a Final Fantasy proper before. Like I've played Final Fantasy 14 a little bit,
yeah,
you know, just to scratch that MMO itch, you know, but Final Fantasy 7 is revered as one of the greatest games of all time, you know, not genre specific, you know, just one of the greatest games of all time, you know. And I think what they've done with the game comparatively to like the 97 version to now, like it just looks so good.
It does look really, really good. Yeah. I
am not a big fan of turn-based games outside of Pokemon, but like this looks really good. Like I want to have it. Like so for people on PS Plus to get that for free, that's incredible, honestly.
Yeah, fantastic. Your other freebie this month is a Remnant from the Ashes.
Actually, if you like Outriders, or you like the demo of Outriders, if you never played Remnant from the Ashes, it is literally, well, not literally, but virtually the same game.
There you go.
If you've never played it,
if you like
Remnant is
Outriders,
actually very good. I think it was on Game Pass for a while too, or it still is on Game Pass.
I think it still might be there possibly. There's so much on Game Pass, it's hard to tell what's going on with that anymore.
Coming or going, even like
yeah, that's it. It's the turnover on is quite quick, but yeah,
that's actually a really good showing from PlayStation, though. Surprisingly enough,
the
Remnant's
PlayStation
a very good game.
Are usually pretty good. I know the Xbox ones I've said this before, but the Xbox ones have kind of dropped off because now they're like pushing people to Game Pass. So the games you get each month aren't great, but but yeah, PlayStation's had some fantastic fucking games on offer. It's been really, really good. Their PlayStation 5 offer this week is Maquette, which I have no idea what it is. I think it's a first-person puzzle game, from what I remember reading. But yeah, if you don't have a PlayStation 5, you can go to the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation website and you can download it ready for when or if you get a PlayStation 5, you'll have it there available, ready to go. Our deal on PlayStation this week is Division 2 for $31.46. I know,
not the worst.
It's not the. I tried. I played Division 1 a lot. Kind of fell off of it, and then Division 2 came out. Well, yeah, I'll try the beta, and it felt like the same. I know that they did a lot of work improving the game, and it was vastly better than what it used to be. But yeah, I don't know. The fanfare for Division 2 didn't really take off as well. I don't think it was a much more low key game.
Yeah. I own Division 2 on 2 platforms, and I haven't finished it on either of them.
Oh, really? Wow.
At some point, I think it was like $4 on the Ubisoft store, so I bought it on PC also, and I bought it on Xbox.
Yeah. See, I didn't even buy it then. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. And I think just 2 is better for me because 1, I had 2 big issues with 1. I'm from New York, so like being on the streets of New York, like it just didn't feel different enough to me. Like it's like I'm basically like living future real life. I just when I play games, I want to far remove myself from that. So like that's kind of what didn't sell for me. And it was too drab, the first one. Like there was a lot of good things that it did. Just like the scenery was drab, and like no matter which area you were in, it always felt the same because all of the scenery looked very similar.
Yeah, it's all
that they did improvement too.
Yeah, to that
that they improved too. Vibrant and diverse
biomes. Yeah, it was really good. It's really funny that the thing that was one of the main selling points of Division 1 is what turned you off it.
Yeah, being in New York.
Yeah, terrible.
30 years in New York will do that to you. Sorry.
I mean, I imagine it would. Yeah. Over on Xbox this week, our Game Pass pick of the week is Super Hot Mind Control Delete, which is an expansion of the OG Super Hot. For me to get to this one, it looks like it's Super Hot, which is a fun as hell game. So yeah, as far as I know, it's pretty solid as well. Nothing, just improving on the original formula, which is always good.
And that's on PC also.
Oh yeah, it's on the PC app as well, which is always good.
That's crazy, the value of Game Pass. Like,
when is it stopping? That's what when does this fun ride of Game Pass being so fucking good stop? Because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
It almost did.
That's why they
remember they're about to like jack it up to like double the price like a couple months ago. No, and they were like, no, we're not gonna do that now.
That was gold. That wasn't Game Pass.
Oh, it was just gold.
So
okay,
that was gold, and people were like, and then they reverted it back, and like, oh, by the way, now because people are like, well, I shouldn't have to pay for a service to play free games. So now all the free games that are on Xbox, you don't need gold for anymore.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Why bother have it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for them just to get rid of it entirely, and it just becomes Game Pass.
As
a service. Yeah. Yeah. Games with gold this week. Speaking of, we have a Warface Breakout, which I've never played. First-person shooter, multiplayer.
I think I downloaded Warface and just never like played it beyond like a couple of hours, maybe an hour. Just wasn't interesting enough.
It just looks a very generic military shooter kind of vibes to it. I mean, if you're into that, go for it. The free is free. Our second freebie for Xbox this month is Dundara Trials of Fear Edition. I've seen this one pop up on Epic quite a few times. I think I mentioned this last week as well. It's a platform. I think it's side scrolling. I think.
Yeah.
I haven't played it though.
Metroidvania.
Yeah, kind of that style of game. Yeah. Our third one this week is Metal Slug 3. No idea what this is. It's an older game. Don't think
Metal Slug's a shmup. It's a shoot 'em up.
Oh, so like a twin
like
stick.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like that classic like Neo Geo type game, you know. The old Metal Slugs were really fun. It's like how many of the same game can you make though? Like, not trying to knock it, but like, it's free.
You Assassin's Creed.
Can't go wrong.
I mean,
yeah, you can't get Assassin's Creed every month.
Over on Deals with Gold this week, we have the Dishonored collection for $57.60, which includes Dishonored 1, Dishonored 2, and Death of an Outsider. So it is the full set, and it's down from like $140.
Wow.
So definitely worth picking up. Dishonored is a great game. I haven't played 2 or Death of an Insider. I played the first one and loved it. Never got around to the other 2. But great fucking games. Arcane did a really, really good job on those. Over on
I think Arcane is like quietly one of like the greatest, you know, studios that people don't talk enough about.
I think a lot of people are sleeping on Deathloop. I think that's gonna be.
I'm waiting to like see more of it because it just seems like that you kind of see like the same things, but you could be right. You could be right because Arcane does everything well. Whatever they do really well.
I'm really hoping it's like, I mean, as much as I don't like roguelikes too much because dying is annoying.
Yes.
I would love to see this be like Dishonored gameplay mechanics, but a roguelike, like a first person kind of deal. I think would be really, really cool. And I think that's what they're going for. That's the vibe I'm kind of picking up with some like multiplayer-esque like Dark Souls aspects going in there.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've seen, that's kind of what the picture in my head is for this game so far.
And it looks very like the art style of it's very cool too.
It is, yeah.
It reminds me a lot of like Kill Bill or something like that.
It does a little bit actually. Now you mention it.
I think that's like the whole thing. It was like assassins and stuff, and the concept is great.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I want to see more of it though.
When's that out? It's what next
soon?
Soon is it soon?
Soonish.
Soonish.
Soon is a relative term after a year of lockdown, man. Like,
yeah, that's it.
All the games are coming soon because it's still March 2020 in my mind.
Yeah. Time has stood still for a year. We're still trying to catch up. Over on Switch this week, we have Trials of Cold Steel 3, but I forgot to write down the price. I think it was like $30, roughly. Turn-based anime style game, very over the top. If you're into that, it might be worth going. You played it at all? No. Yeah, like I go to my normal spot for the Switch deals, and it was just all these anime games I'd never heard of before, and there was nothing else. I'm like, Nintendo, you okay? Are we having a weeb week? Are we?
Yeah, it's like they don't want to give you all the first parties for cheap all the time.
No, they don't. It's very rare you get a good first party deal on Switch.
Yeah, it's gotta be like a holiday or something, and it's never on the eShop. You gotta get that stuff physical, like go to GameStop or EB Games or something.
Yeah, that's it. They're Nintendo, as much as they are loved, they've got some shady shit going on there, man. It's like,
I'm glad somebody else besides me can recognize this.
But we're gonna charge. I went to buy Breath. I hadn't played Breath of the Wild. I was a bit behind, so I went and picked it up. I went to go buy it, and it was still fucking full price. I was like, this game is 3 years old. What the fuck are you doing? Like, it wasn't even like $20 cheaper. Like, no, you're paying full price. So I went down and got it like for like $20 at like EB or something secondhand. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, Nintendo. I'm keeping my money.
Yeah, like I got the Switch just for like Pokemon and a couple of the exclusives, and then my kid wanted a Switch, so we both have the Switch. So now it's like I can't even get games digitally anymore. I have to get everything physical. So in like the case that both of us want to play it.
Yeah, I think the only thing good thing about Switch is the indie market is really cool. Like you can find some really really good games on there. It's
the portability of it too. Like obviously,
yeah, obviously, yeah. But it's become quite the little indie machine because Nintendo are really great with indie developers as well, which is good. Speaking of indie developers, I think maybe over on the Epic Store this week we have Sunless Sea. I love the tagline from this game. It's "Lose your mind, eat your crew, die." That's the tagline for this game. It's a gothic horror RPG with a focus on exploration and storytelling and death in a boat. Yeah, you just sail around blowing shit up and dying. It looked interesting though. I really like the aesthetic of it though. Like that gothic horror vibe is always very nice to look at.
And does light have something to do with it? I was looking at it earlier. Like I saw it today because like because you said something about that, I looked at all the games. Like I saw the ship sailing and stuff like that. And does light have something? Because like I always find games like that interesting. It's like Alan Wake was like a big one with light, and it was a lot of fun to manipulate the game to accommodate that. You know, like basically like in Alan Wake you had to like shine it on the shadows and stuff to weaken them.
Yeah, like light became like your torch essentially became your weapon. I thought that's what I loved about Alan Wake as well. It was so different. It wasn't like, because back then I was like playing a lot of shooters, and then I kind of tried this one out. I was like, oh, this is really cool, where you're using the environment around you as your protection and as a weapon. And I fucking love that. I've been playing Control recently as well, which is now tying in with that. And oh boy, that's a fun game too.
And on your theme of Game Pass and everything like that, like I'm surprised that game went to Game Pass, and that's like a crazy value.
Yeah, definitely
on my list of things to play this year.
Yeah, I think I'm almost done. I think I'm about 3/4 of the way through at the moment. I'm fucking loving it. I love weird shit, and it has like all the weird shit. Like there's like a rubber duck that does stuff that the rubber duck shouldn't do, and you have to fight a fridge at some point. I haven't done it yet, but there's a fridge there you have to fight, and I'm like, okay, sure,
I'm in.
It's weird shit. All aboard. Let's fucking go. That is all we got this week, ladies and gentlemen. Lupo, thank you so much for coming along and being the knowledgeable voice of RPGs and looters today. You've helped me out greatly.
the massive fan of games as service. As I just love to torture myself. Apparently.
Yeah, it's fine.
But in all seriousness, thanks for having me on.
No, so it's been a great time. So for the people listening and who are definitely gonna go and follow you, because I'm telling them to right now, where can we find you on the internet?
Twitch and Twitter at Lupo2TheRescue. That is where.
Look at that, easy and short. I fucking love it.
Yeah, no extra things here. I try
no extra things.
As you try to like evolve into like your next stage of content creation, which for me is like almost sunsetting at this point. Try to reduce the amount of platforms I'm visible at, because I just don't have the time to maintain them.
Yeah, but I feel that. I don't know why I'm doing it to myself, but I've got the podcast and my streaming full-time work. I don't know what I'm doing to myself. I'm gonna cark it eventually. Speaking of the podcast, if you'd like to keep in touch with us, you can find us on Twitter at @left_pod. We also now have an Instagram, which you can follow us on, which is at 2LeftThumbsPodcast, because I don't like consistency and Twitter has short names, which I don't like either. You can also find the video version of this podcast up on YouTube a few days after the audio release. So if you want to see Lupo's beautiful face and ignore mine, go and do that. Give us a like, subscribe, and as always, if you're listening on the audio versions, rate, review, tell a friend, tell your mum. I mean, we've told your mum several times, but one more time. She'll listen to us eventually. I've been Deaf Puppies. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk at you next week. Bye.